All right, Grasshoppers, we're back at it again on Monday morning. We have the great Mark Puttenvink back with us. What is Puttenvink? What nationality is that?
It's actually Dutch. So it was Van Puttenvink, 3 separate words.
Right.
My father went in the Navy, World War II. They said it's not going to fit on your dog tag. So they got rid of Van entirely. They took Putten and Vink and made it one word. So Van means from. Putten's an area in Holland, and Vink means bird. And I don't know if you know this, but do you know why Dutch people wear wooden shoes?
So they can float. I have no idea why they wear it.
It keeps the woodpeckers away from your head.
It's so funny, and I don't know why. So where I go for March in the morning is this Todd's Point in Greenwich, beautiful place. It's all trees and everything. There's a lot of woodpeckers out there now, and I hear the woodpeckers. So I came home and researched why don't woodpeckers get concussions or brain damage when they're banging their head. And there's actual study on it, and it showed how the like our brains, as you know, float around in the water in our skull and everything, and that's how you get a concussion. Where the woodpecker's brain is tight against the skull or whatever. So
we know a couple of those guys too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, rockets. So right, Ty Domi never got a concussion too. His brain was banging around inside that thing. So everybody, just to be sure, Mark Puttenvink's got a Patriot Training Systems company where he trains anywhere from Navy SEALs and special warfare guys to people at home sitting on the couch. I could probably even train Ron Breshner. We'll see about that. Get him in shape. How you doing, bud? How's things?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Good, real good. Before we get going, we're going to talk about some training methods here and everything. We do this once a week here with Mark, but Mark's also involved in that's awful. What's the name of the hockey group?
New Jersey Warriors, and we're a disabled veterans hockey program. All you need is a 10% for all the veterans. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You need a minimum 10% VA rating to participate in anything to do with the Warrior program with USA Hockey. But we also welcome all veterans for other games that we play, like maybe against a charity, against the fire department or police department or whatever. But if anybody's interested in our program, go to njwarriors.org. I'm sorry. Yeah, njwarriors.org. There's all the information you need. We're looking for players. So if you're a hockey player, or you know a hockey player, there's our hat that Tom has. And if you're a hockey player, or you know a hockey player that's a veteran that's interested in playing, we're a great group of guys. We play against Philly, we play Long Island, we play regional tournaments. We went to Vegas our first year, so please reach out. Do
you play against other vets?
Yeah. So we're affiliated or sponsors, I should say, probably a better word, with the New Jersey Devils. So they give us practice ice time at the Prudential. They supply us with jerseys. Alumni show up. It's a really great program. Locally, Long Island has a Warrior team. They're obviously sponsored the same way we are with the New York Islanders. Philly is a program. Brad Marsh is their coach.
Oh,
so I'm sure
he runs the alumni for the Flyers too, doesn't he? Yeah,
correct. Yeah, so he's heavily involved. In fact, this year's Warrior Classic is in Philadelphia, November 4th through the 7th. There'll probably be 30 some odd teams there.
Oh, very cool. Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And we use the ice hockey as a therapeutic way for veterans to just get together. And I'm a civilian. I don't speak their verbiage, but it's a great environment for them. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm on that Warrior for Life Fund down in Virginia Beach. And I noticed that too, the Navy SEALs. It's an old rink, beat up old rink. We're trying to refurbish it or get a new one going. And they've had great success with guys coming back with physical injuries or PTSD and really getting on the ice and a lot of therapy. It's the same thing. This guy out in Vegas has a Vegas Veterans Hockey Foundation. We've had him on, Jason, and same thing. It's just a great cause. So any vets out there, if you're sitting around, contact. And again, where do you go to again online?
Go to our website, njwarriors.org, and you'll find everything you need to know there. And there's also a way to reach out and let us know if you're interested. We have upcoming practices this Sunday from 1:30 to 2:30 at the Prudential practice rink. That's our W.J. Barnabas Hockey Health, whatever, it's a whole name, but it's where the Devils practice. It's in the same building as the main arena. And we have practice May 1st from 4 to 5 p.m.
Okay, good. And if you didn't get all that, you can obviously just contact me on Facebook or Instagram, wherever, and I'll get you hooked up with Mark here and get it all straightened out. So the guru here. So Mark has worked in a lot of different places, worked for the Rangers for strength and conditioning, up at the military. You're up at West Point, weren't you?
West Point, boxing. Yeah.
Right. Good.
Yeah, I coach. Yeah.
Sure.
West Point.
So what is it that everybody wants you? That they're all trying to get rid of you? Is that what it is? Like,
yeah, I'm like one and done. So I just keep
one and done.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's true at all. Actually, I was in Jersey City last week and up in a skyscraper up there, and I could see the view of where we did the. We didn't do it. We helped.
Yeah.
With the guys that swim across the Hudson. It's a great view. It was really
By the
interesting.
way, this year, Tom, we're anticipating over 150 swimmers. It's going to be a massive, massive event. And it coincides with the 20th unfortunate anniversary of 9/11. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right, too. Yeah. That's right. So everybody that swim across the Hudson is fantastic. Mark's done it for 2 years now. This will be the third year coming up. Yeah. I helped. I was there for the second one. And it was emotional. It was like we talked about it before. So it's called the Swim Across the Hudson.
Navy SEAL swim across the Hudson. Navy SEAL swim across the Hudson.
Right. Yeah. So it's mainly Navy SEALs. They do have some other people that participate in it, but it's quite a sight, guys. And I know we were limited last year. We couldn't really have too many people around, but if you get a chance to this year when it's on, they go just watch. So there's a right there in. Where is it in New Jersey where they had the big walls with all the names?
So it's Liberty State Park, and that where we started, Tom, was called Fallen Towers, which is a memorial. There's some structure from the towers there, and that was probably the most moving part of the day.
Oh man,
a benediction and the push-ups and when
the vision of these Navy SEALs standing there with the tight little shorts on, and they're just all jacked up, and they got a flag over their shoulders. And they're standing in between these two walls where all the names are etched on the walls. And when that one Marine came in and did that speech there, man, I was ready to just like run across the country. It was, and
then of course the founder of the swim, Bill Brown, who was SEAL Team 8. Yeah. When he spoke, right, Tom? Yeah. I mean, I was fired up. I was ready just to do something. Just smash my head through a wall.
Oh yeah! Just if everybody gets a chance to, we're going to promote it more as we get into in August. But if you get a chance to go to it, then so what they do is they swim from Liberty State Park. They swim to a barge. They get up on the barge. They do 100 push-ups, 22 pull-ups, which is 22 pull-ups, which signifies the number of estimated number of suicides in the military. Then they get in the water again. They swim to another barge. They do the same thing. They get in the water again. They swim to Lower Manhattan, go to another location where they do another 100 push-ups, another 22 pull-ups. And again, when they get out of the water, now they're running through the streets of Manhattan. The same thing. You got these 50 at that point, 50 last year with the Navy SEALs with the flag over their shoulders. And it was quite a sight. They had the bagpipes going the whole bit. So 150 this year will be pretty interesting. That's cool. Good. What's the date of it again this year? August what?
August 7th. And Fox and Friends covers it live. Pete Hegstead, who's an anchor on Fox and Friends, he wasn't a SEAL, but I know he did. He was Army. I think he was a Ranger. I think he might have been an Army Ranger, and he was in Iraq. He saw combat. And it's really inspirational, and the fund that it's for GI Go Fund out of Newark, which is a veteran support organization. They do a fabulous job, and through this swim, we've raised an enormous amount of money for veterans.
Right. And Mark and I, we had some Navy SEALs on last year to show to help promote it, and some great guys. Still buddies with Kenny Bigby Jr. He's one of my all-time favorites. So
Bill Brown, who's the founder, and who I've been very fortunate to be a small part, but I work alongside Bill, putting this, organizing the logistics of it all. If everybody's probably familiar right now with David Goggins. And he had a bestseller out called "Can't Hurt Me," and Chapter 4 is entirely dedicated to Bill Brown because they went through buds together. They served over in Iraq together, and you'll get a good feel for Bill if you read Chapter 4.
Cool. Bill's
pretty intense.
He's a motivated man.
But I'll tell you, he'll get you to do what you need to do real quick.
So if you guys saw that I posted months ago where we were doing some live shooting. Mark was there. It was all tactical training. We're at a place in Pennsylvania at a farm, and Bill was the one to put that together. In fact, if you look at the video, he's got the green shirt on where he's following me around and showing me what to do. That was quite a day too. That was good.
Absolutely. Awesome. And so speaking of Will, I call him Will, kind of segues into what I wanted to talk today about, how we can use tactical training that the military employs and take some stuff of it and work it into our sports world. And I'll tell you a real quick story. So last year, as you mentioned, they swim. First, you swim in the Statue of Liberty. There's a vessel there, push-ups, pull-ups. back in the water, swim to Ellis Island. Same thing. Well, the first year we did the swim, we had New York Fire Department has Marine One, which is an incredible vessel. They were at the statue. So everybody got up there, did their thing, got wet, swam to Ellis Island. Then I had an Army Corps of Engineers salvage vessel there. Same thing. I went there the day before with a good friend of mine, Rob, and we constructed all the pull-up bars and stuff like that. Well, we were going to go that route last year. And about a week before the swim, I got a call from Captain Sullivan with the New York Fire Department and said, listen, due to COVID, we just can't participate this year. And following that was the Army Corps of Engineers with their same thing. They were restricted by COVID. So I called up Bill, and I was concerned. Obviously, we got a week to go. We don't have any vessel. And I called Bill, and I said, hey, Bill, listen, I ran into a little snag here, unfortunately. And New York Fire Department and Army Corps had to pull out this year. So what are we going to do? 3 words. We move forward. And he hung the phone up. So I said, okay.
Yeah, you told me that story before. Yeah.
I mean, but it's, like even in my old age, it was a lesson. You know what? Just shut up and get it done. Figure it out. It's not that difficult. And I was very fortunate. GI Go Fund contacted Don Joy. They're a salvage diving group out of Port Newark. And I spent a week down there, and we set up the barges, and we got it done. But my old way of thinking before I started to really get immersed and get to know that type of thinking was, oh, I'm screwed. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And we'll just say we move forward.
Yeah.
Which is great. And it kind of full, like in terms of sports, we were talking about this last time, in the NHL, you have that 5-game road trip, you lose 4 out of 5. And it's real easy to get stuck on that failure data point, but you got to move forward. And that's a great concept to have.
So you're right with tactical training. So again, going back to this when we were on the farm in Pennsylvania, it was really interesting because there's a bunch of us, there must have been 15 of us. We didn't really, some of us knew each other, but there's other guy we never met before.
Never met.
And Bill was really good. He teamed us up with people. And the guy I was teamed with, I had never met. Just met him the first day, good guy. Yeah. And you hear the Navy SEALs talk about it too, that when you're shooting your weapon in a real battle, we were just doing tactical training, you're shooting your weapon not to protect yourself. You're shooting your weapon to protect your teammate or teammates. Right. Yeah. And he really taught us that in this the training. So he would have us, we would flank out to the sides, and there was a supposed enemy. And as my teammate was moving, I had to cover him. So I'm shooting. Right now, I'm out. I'm exposing myself. I'm exchanging fire with the bad guys. He's moving to another location. Then when he gets there, now I'm moving and he's protecting me. So 2 things are happening. He's putting his life in my hands. Right. If it was a real battle, and I'm putting my life in his hands if it's a real battle. So in terms of sports, you think about it, the real successful teams, it isn't always about making those big plays. Yes, you need big goal scorers or big plays in football or whatever, but it's those other people doing their job so that the other guy knows, okay, I know that Tom's doing his job. I know Mark's doing his job, so I can just do my job, right? And that's what I really got from the tactical training. I thought it was fantastic.
That's a great synopsis of what the whole thought process was. And then, it's even in the training to get to that point that they become SEALs, and whether it's a SEAL or a Rangers or Green Berets or whatever, they do a lot of, and law enforcement does it to some extent, and they're doing more of it. And it's called SIT training, which is stress inoculation training. What does that mean? Well, they put you in scenarios where you're really stressed out and you have to react, and they'll do 5 or 8 evolutions of that particular drill in a row. Because what happens is when you're stressed out, you get this adrenaline dump, you get the tunnel vision, you may even get auditory exclusion. Time may either speed up or slow down, excuse me. And it's none of those situations when you're stressed out like that you can make poor decisions. And in the tactical community, that can mean life or death. Yeah. In our game that we love so much in hockey, it's a poor decision with puck management. All right. So what we can do. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead. I want to hear. I think you're taking it where I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we do about that? So we set up. We want to increase the confidence of a player at a subconscious level. And how is that done? Well, you do it through this type of training, the stress inoculation training, where say it's a D-man, and I think you and I were talking about this, and he's got to turn, he's got to gather in a corner behind the net, and you just jam him with 4 guys on top of him right away, and he's got to pump it up the wall to the guy that's posted up or whatever. And you run it and you run it and you run it. And the chances of him being successful are minimal, but the stress level is high. All right. So now you take that to where it's a 2-on-1. It's an easy play for him because he's run through it so many times under that high level of stress that, oh, it's 1-on-1 or 2-on-1. This is easy. I don't even think about it. I just move the puck up ice and I make a tape-to-tape pass.
So how do you think, let's say somebody is in the office. We take it to an office now, and you're in a stressful situation. Do you think people can train? I certainly do think people can train themselves the same way you do physically, train yourself mentally in that office situation too, right?
Yeah. So 2 things. One is visualization, and that's very important. So, like in the locker room before the game, I don't care what your position is, but you have certain responsibilities on ice. And you have to go through your mind what you're going to do in a situation. If it's a 2-on-1, or if I can't get it out, do I bump it up the wall? What do I do? You run through those scenarios in your head so that when they occur, you've already visualized what your response is going to be. And that's one of the main components of what we call survival training, is to identify the threat recognition. Okay, it's a 2-on-1, and then have the correct response to that threat recognition. So that's one way to do it, is a lot of visualization. And the other thing, and it's so important, whether it's in the office or at home or on the ice or in the gym, combat breathing. Because it brings your heart rate back down and it allows you to reduce the effects of that adrenaline dump you get when you're stressed. So if you're at your desk and the phone's ringing and you got an email you got to handle right away, take 3 minutes to do some combat breathing, and everything's going to make sense to you, and you're going to be able to perform.
So combat breathing, just deep breaths, right?
So combat breathing is 4 deep count breath through your nose, hold it for 4 counts, exhale it for 4 counts, start it over again. So it's through the nose, out the mouth, back through, hold it, out of the mouth, back through the nose. And it absolutely works. And it's one of the things that SEALs, Rangers, Delta Force guys, they all do it when they're in a firefight or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. Because you do notice that we've talked about this before too. When I was training to go on Survivor, I played NHL for 11 years. I didn't realize this about myself, but the trainer was a really good guy, good buddy of mine, Robbie Sherwood. I should mention his name more often. And he did the same thing. He would have me memorize a poem, and I would be able to recite the poem verbatim. And then he would come over, I'd go over and train with him, and he'd elevate my heart rate, either riding the bike or he'd do something. He'd bring another guy in the room that would start mouthing off to me, something to aggravate me. Like he did it one time, and I didn't know who this guy was. And I did notice that my heart rate was elevated. Then he had me try to do the poem again, and I couldn't recite the poem. I just recited it perfectly like 5 minutes before that. And now 5 minutes later, after getting my heart rate elevated, I couldn't recite it again. But then he said, okay, what do we need to do now? And he didn't exactly do it like the combat breathing, but he would have me do some deep breathing. And that really made the difference. And all of a sudden I could remember the poem again. So it was pretty good exercise. Yeah. I think we lost Mark there. As I start talking today, that same thing happened with Kevin there. So as I start talking, we'll get Mark back on. So this is Mark Puttenvink again. You guys have heard him before. He was a strength and conditioning coach with the Rangers, with the New England Patriots, up at West Point. Does a lot of boxing. He's got a company called Patriot Training Systems, and trains a lot of people. So he's pretty knowledgeable about all that stuff. And we're talking about tactical training today, and obviously that's a military term, and how it pertains to sports, the same. So I think we covered pretty much all the stuff we want to cover. So we'll get him back on again next week. And all right, guys, you have a great week. We'll see you. I guess I'll see you again on Wednesday, but Mark will be back next Monday again. All right, talk to you later.